What's going on, everyone? Yesterday we got a Woj bump, but not the kind that we usually want to hear. You want to hear the big trade, big news, big updates. But this is very interesting. ESPN story on NBA opening a tampering investigation into the Philadelphia 76ers, including questions into James Harden's decision to decline a $47 million player option and take a pay cut for next season. This is put out by Woj. And then we had Bobby Marks follow it up with, it should be noted that even if the league finds that Philadelphia committed no wrongdoings now, they have the right to reopen the investigation next summer. The tampering investigation doesn't have an expiration date. So all of this essentially stems from James Harden deciding to take a pay cut instead of opting into his deal. He decided to opt out, renegotiate a new deal after they decided to go and get other players. You heard James Harden himself. He went to the Philadelphia 76ers and was like, look, I want to win. So do what you got to do to go get players that can help us win now, and then give me what's left over, right? That was James Harden's whole thing. And now they are looking into investigations because they think it's odd. Although there have been tons of players throughout history that have taken discounts and pay cuts. I mean, he took a $14 million pay cut. It wasn't like he signed for the vet minimum or something crazy like that. I mean, look back to Miami, right? Miami, when they put the big three together, right, of LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, they all took pay cuts to make it work, to make it fit. It's not uncommon for a player, especially that's getting up there in age, has made, $40 million a year, to say, hey, I want to win. The one thing James Harden doesn't have is, that hardware. He doesn't have that ring on his finger to really help, his legacy and stuff like that. He's put up incredible stats. The one conversation has always been, doesn't show up in the playoffs, and he hasn't won. And right now, he is arguably the greatest player ever to never win a ring. And you don't think he knows that? You don't think he's aware of that? So he was willing to do whatever it took to go get players to help him win. It wasn't like he took $10 million so they could also go and, sign like a Kyrie Irving or something like that. You know what I mean? Or go get Bradley Beal too. And Bradley Beal opts out. Like, this wasn't like a cahoots thing. It wasn't like the Sixers went and got some like superstar in this deal or something like that. Now, I have no dog in this fight, right? I mean, I'm not a Philly fan. If you followed this channel, I'm a Laker fan. But when we're talking about stuff, I try to be as fair as possible. And when it comes to being fair, this whole thing, right? Who did they get? They got Daniel House and they got PJ Tucker, who they're investigating to see if any deals were worked out beforehand. Were any deals worked out beforehand? Probably. You don't think that players and teams and even players and players talk to each other? The organization might have not have said that, but you don't think LeBron James calls Kyrie Irving and says, "Hey man, you want to come to the Lakers? Hey dude, like why don't you opt out, come over here, next season, if it doesn't work out, we can't trade for you. Come on over next season. We'll have all this money for you to go." Of course they do. All these players talk, they're friends. We're not in an NBA anymore where it's competition and everyone hates each other. We're in an NBA where everybody is friends, every player has each other's numbers, all that stuff. You don't think James Harden couldn't have called PJ Tucker and said, "Hey, you're a free agent, you're a guy I like, you're a guy that I'm familiar with, Daniel House, same thing. Hey, would you come to Philly? I'll take a little pay cut to make it work for you," that kind of thing. Again, he's not taking $30 million on the back. He lost $14 million, which isn't, again, very uncommon. LeBron James has the chance to sign an extension, which he's probably not going to sign. And guess what? He becomes a free agent and can re-sign with the Lakers. If LeBron decides, I'm going to take a $20 million pay cut because I'm 39 years old now, or I'll be 39 years old going into that season, and I want to win some more rings, so I'm going to take a $20 million pay cut. Let's go sign Kyrie. Let's go, sign this player, this mid-tier player. Great, perfect. You think anyone's going to bat an eyelash? No, of course not. Like I said, you don't think players negotiate and talk without even the organizations? And of course, there's the backdoor deals and stuff like that. Of course it happens. It's the NBA. All sports happen like that. All businesses happen like that. The NBA players, they're all friends. It's not hard for PJ Tucker even to call James Harden and be like, "Hey man, I'd love to go to you guys. I'd love to play for Philly next season." Like, Is there a way that we can make this happen? Like, yeah, or they're just handing out whatever, grabbing drinks, and they're like, dude, I'd love to play with you, man, but you guys don't have any money. You're gonna get a max. And Harden's like, I'll take $7 million less to bring you on this year. Like, why not? Come on over. Come on over to Philly. I'm trying to win, right? And you don't think he goes and tells Daryl Morey, like, hey, man, look, PJ Tucker, me and him were handing out, we're gambling a little bit. It was a great night, throwing a few back, getting our beaks wet a little bit. And guess what? He wants to come. So, we'll get him, go get somebody else. You don't think the star players talk to the GMs? I mean, all of them do. LeBron is notorious for talking to the GMs, lead GM, as many people like to call him, And the same thing, like with the whole Westbrook deal and stuff like that. Like LeBron and Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook sat down and had a conversation, right? They had a discussion and they were like, hey, we should play together. And LeBron James and Anthony Davis went to Rob Pelinka and were like, yeah, we know you're about to trade for Buddy Hield, DeMar DeRozan and all that stuff. Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to go trade for Russell Westbrook because we want him on the team now, and we're going to run a big three with them. And Rob Pelinka said, all right, if that's what you guys want, you're my stars. Like, you don't think that happens in the NBA? Of course it does. You don't think that when your star player is a free agent, you're not going to him and going like, hey, man, what do you want to do here? Like, we can give you the max. If you want the max, you can take a little less, and we could go get you, a couple pieces, depending on how much you're going to take. We can only get, let's say, these handful of players. These guys are free agents. What do you want to do? Of course they did. As soon as Philly got eliminated, they probably had those conversations. And James Harden probably sat down with them and were like, what do we need to do, to make this happen? I mean, James Harden told you that. It's just, it just seems silly at times. Like, I just feel like a lot of times it's just, you get these owners from other organizations, because that's where this stems from. Like the things like the Chris Paul veto, stuff like that. Like there are constant things. Like when KD went to the Warriors and stuff, you had all these GMs crying and stuff. And it's like, well, guess what? Why don't you spend the money? Like you want to stop sucking, go spend the money. Offer these free agents. But no, you want to be cheap. Like you want to instead cry and wonder like why you never get anybody and why everyone leaves your organization. Because you're a terribly ran organization. You're a terrible owner that doesn't want to spend money. But look like a team at like Golden State. They've spent like $1 billion in luxury tax the last few years. They don't care. They want to win. They're an incredible organization. They're incredibly ran right now. They got an owner who actually cares and wants to win. And that can't be said for everybody. A lot of these owners don't buy these teams for the sake of like turning them around and turning them into, contenders and stuff. Most of the time, it's a business decision. It's like, we need to make as much money as possible. When it's like, well, if you got 3 superstars, you're going to make a lot of money because you're going to have butts and seats and everything like that. You have so many teams that have never wanted to go that level, right? Look at Cleveland the first time around. Like Cleveland had LeBron James, arguably the greatest player ever. And what happened? They didn't not one time go and get him anybody. Hey, you want Eric Snow? We got Eric Snow. You want Gauskas? Here you go. Anderson Varejao? Man, that's your guy there. Mo Williams? Here you go. Here's some Mo Williams for you. They never made an attempt to be better. And what happened? LeBron left because he got sick of it. And then Dan Gilbert and everybody's crying because, LeBron left. It's like, of course he did. How many years is he supposed to wait around for you to do this? Like, and then what happened? LeBron goes back and he tells him like, hey, this is your second chance. And then all of a sudden, okay, we'll trade Andrew Wiggins. We'll do that. We got Kyrie. Let's go get Kevin Love, all this stuff. And then now they want to do that. It's like, you should have done that from day one. You probably would have had several championships. Especially when LeBron back in 2004 took you to a finals. That was your opportunity to go, man, this kid's really good. We should probably put a team around him. But no, you have these organizations that just don't care. They just want the money. And then they go and cry when an organization like Philly wants to turn it around, and they go and get James Harden. They get a couple role guys that people are like, well, why is it fair he went? Like, it always happens. You always see players take discounts. It's not like PJ Tucker is like, 23 years old. No, he's like, 38, something like that. It's not like if they went and got like a big name superstar and LeBron and, James Harden took $20 million less a year. Okay, like you should probably look into that. But him taking 14 million less than what he was able to get, and them getting Daniel House and PJ Tucker is not something that's like, oh, we need to open up a full-blown investigation because something shady's going on here. Like, there are so many teams doing so much stuff. You don't think these teams have negotiations and back channel discussions? I mean, like DeMar DeRozan said, that he thought he was signing with the Lakers. Like, that's what he thought from the moment he hit free agency. I mean, we've seen it. Like I said, Miami's done it. I mean, Kevin Durant was signing with the Warriors before he took meetings with anyone else. All that stuff. Like, you don't think these teams, like, as we heard the report, when Kevin Durant went to the Warriors, what happened? All the reports, Draymond was in the parking lot after the loss of the game. So the game ended. He went to the parking lot and was crying, calling Kevin Durant, telling him, why don't you come over here? We could use you. Like, that's not tampering? Like, no, it's not, because it's not the organization. Like, and how do you prove something like that? Like, if James Harden wants to take less money to put a team together, good. More superstars should do that stuff. You see all these superstars that are like, I want to win. I want to do this. I want to do the other. But then they go and sign, a $400 million contract. And look, I am the first one to say, get your bag, get your money, because you're not going to do this forever. Get as much money as you can, as much money as you want. But we've seen players like make your decision, like Bradley Beal made a decision. I care about the money more than winning. Okay, cool. That's great. I am totally okay with that, man. Good luck for you. Damian Lillard, same thing, right? He choosing loyalty, he's choosing the money, all of that stuff over going somewhere and winning a championship. That's great. I appreciate you. The problem is we live in a world where you don't have a legacy unless you have some hardware or you've done something. And as much as I love Damian Lillard, realistically, in 20 years, he's going to be an afterthought. He's going to be a guy that is not, like, what has he accomplished? He hasn't done anything, really. He's made a couple all-star appearances, all that stuff. In 20 years, it'll be a back conversation. It'll be, oh yeah, like Damian Lillard, yes. That guy, he was pretty good. Same thing. James Harden doesn't want to be that guy. James Harden doesn't want to be the guy where it's like, yeah, James Harden, he was great, man. He set some records. He was a great scorer. But yeah, anyway, so this guy over here, he won 4 titles in 5 years or whatever. Stuff like that. That's where we're at in the world. Bradley Beal, again, it's not that. Like, is Bradley Beal and Damian Lillard even Hall of Famers? Seriously, like, as silly as that may sound to some of you, like, what have they accomplished? They are, because of the standard for Hall of Fame now, but, 30 years ago, they wouldn't have been. 30 years ago, you actually had to have some hardware. You had to be a top guy in this league. Damian Lillard's never been a top 5, top 10 guy in the league. Bradley Beal's never been one of those people. Like, they wanted the money. That's fine. I am totally okay with that. But you can't punish a guy like James Harden who says, I've made the money. I don't care about the money. I want to win. And whether it works out or not, that's a different story. But I respect that. Like, okay, cool. Like, more pro athletes in all sports should probably take those pay cuts later in their career. Look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady's taken, $10 million a year every year for the last, 20 years because he wants to win. His legacy is more important than the money. Sure, it helps that he has Giselle and she makes, $1 billion a year or whatever ridiculous amount she makes. But still, point is that he could have gotten his money all these years. But no, he wanted to take the pay cuts to win. When Miami put their team together, what did they do? They all took pay cuts so their teams could win. But anyway, that's my little rant. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. As always, pass the question on to you. Let me know down in the comment section below. What do you think of this whole situation? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you think, like, yeah, it's total nonsense? It's silly. Like, to think that, like, yeah, players aren't talking, making backdoor deals and stuff, or do you think, like, yeah, no, this is messed up. I just, he took a $14 million pay cut. Like, who cares? Like, like, they went and got PJ Tucker and Daniel House. Who cares? Like, Daniel House and PJ Tucker, they're the reason that they're going to win a championship. Not that it's, Maxey maybe becomes an all-star, James Harden gets back to being Houston James Harden, and Embiid is healthy and can be Embiid. Right, no, it's not that. It's because they got PJ Tucker and Daniel House, and James Harden took $14 million less to make it happen. Like, I don't know. I think it's a little goofy, but those are my thoughts and opinions. Like I said, let me know yours down in the comment section below. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.